Welcome to the Investor Shed Podcast with Nick Beveridge, the ultimate source for all things investing and beyond. For free tools, tips, and tricks, go to northidahorei.com. Today's episode features Laurel Kerr. Laurel is a real estate agent, an investor, and a property management company owner. At 30 years old, Laurel talks about being in the business for just 5 years and the steps she's taken to get where she is today. Leave you to it. Recording.
Laurel Kerr. Is saying that right?
Correct. Yep.
Laurel.
Nick Beveridge.
Laurel Kerr. Or do you prefer Fletchinger?
Flerschinger. Close enough. Nick Beveridge.
Laurel Kerr.
Did I say
Laurel?
that right?
Laurel.
Laurel.
Do you have to correct people all the time and say no? It's Laurel with an L at the end.
Just old people who can't hear.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Yes.
So you are a little rock star, aren't you?
No, but I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the Nick and JT of Keller Williams.
You don't want to be me. I can't stay focused.
Well.
You look like you're focusing on something huge over there, though. And what I mean by that is she has an office right next to mine. You have a property management company. You're building houses. You got rentals. What in the heck is going on?
Yeah.
How'd you get started?
We talked about this a little earlier today, but my first, I guess I got started because I'm super lucky and my parents had rentals.
Uh-huh.
And I just saw the value of that. And so my first house I bought was a duplex, and I remodeled it was pretty terrible. Actually, it was like on a dirt road. And
was it here in the Coeur d'Alene area?
It was like the only dirt road in town.
Okay.
That's a private road. And like my car would bottom out when the potholes, like they would just get so big. But yeah, so I redid the side I was moving into, like asked him to move out. Well, actually, when I bought it, I had, like, the day I signed, I was in the hospital because I'd actually gotten into a big car accident.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I was probably pretty drugged up when I signed the papers, but I remember the real estate agent, because I wasn't in real estate yet, had brought the papers to me, like, in the hospital, and that's where I signed for him.
Do you remember who your agent was?
It was Chris oh man, I'm gonna butcher her last name. I'm sorry, Chris. Fierro.
Oh, okay. She's still working?
Yeah, I think she's still at Windermere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So how old were you at the time?
24.
You were 24 and you bought a duplex. And did you have to put a lot of money down? Do you remember?
No. So I was still, like, treated like your first home, or, so you could put 3.5% down.
Okay, so an FHA loan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. So your parents kind of encouraged you to go that route?
Yeah. So they obviously were, like, super huge in buying my first place. Because I had them come up with me to look at homes, and at first we were looking at, like, homes in Post Falls, which were, like, 4 and 5 bedroom homes, and I was just like, I just feel like I'm just missing the family. And so I was single at the time, so I was like, I don't think I want to live in Post Falls to begin with, and I don't think I'm ready for a 5 bedroom home. So my dad was, like, big on, you want a single level duplex if you're going to own a duplex, and you want it to be newer than 65, I think, or 8.
Okay.
So
and why is that? Do you know?
He said then your plumbing and electrical is usually good, and you won't have to replace any of it. So
yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Do you remember how much this duplex was at the time?
Yeah, it was $164, and I was thinking I was like, oh, I paid too much for it.
Way too much. And wait, so what year? You're 30 now, or how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 30.
30. Okay, so 6 years ago, so 2014-ish is when you paid $160 something for a duplex. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Is it a 2-bedroom duplex or?
2-bedroom, 1 bath on the side I moved into, and 3-bedroom, 2 bath on the other side. So they had there's 2 garages in the middle, and the previous owners had converted the garage into another bedroom and bathroom.
Okay.
Do you still have? Well.
Do you still?
Yeah, I still have it, and in fact, this year we finally asked the other side to leave and completely redid that side too.
Okay. So, how much in rent are you getting per side?
$12.95 for the side for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There's no garage. Wow. And then
So wait, well, what was your payment in the first place? Did that pretty much cover it?
I don't know, because I've since redone it. But yeah, I mean, it was close.
Okay.
But when I first okay, let's back up here. I'm getting that now. I did not get that when I first bought it.
Yeah.
I got $750 for the other side for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I mean, that was pretty close to covering a lot of the payment. So.
Okay. So you got to live really cheaply, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which was good, because I lived in there when I started real estate, and I didn't get paid when I started real estate for like the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So.
I remember.
Yeah.
First starting.
Taco Bell money.
Well, yeah, even before that, I mean, it was, yeah. I didn't get paid, I think, for the first 4 months or so, and then when I came back into it, and I started in Florida, and then when I came back, the second time around in Coeur d'Alene, yeah, I didn't get a check for like 6 months.
Yeah, it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it was worth it in the end, so.
Okay, so how old were you when you got your license, and what made you want to do that?
Well, okay, bought that house, and then, like, I'm trying to think, 2015, I had, no, maybe close, ended, it was close, 2014, 2014, I had quit my, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm just trying to line up the dates perfect. Okay, anyway, I had, like, for not even a year, was going to try to be because I used to work at a bank, and I hated working at a bank. It just wasn't for me.
Oh, okay.
So,
which bank did you work at?
Community First Bank, and
whoa,
everybody's awesome there, and I love them. So it wasn't the people; it was just not like fun. It wasn't the kind of work I wanted to do, and I'd spend a lot of my time, which hopefully they're not listening to this. No, like crunching numbers and being like, I'm never going to get ahead in life if I stay here working at the bank. So
you don't have to worry about people listening to this.
No, stop. So
no, there's going to be like 14 people that will hear this.
Oh, that's good. Just kidding. So yeah, so then I was like, oh, I'm never going to get ahead in life. So I was like, oh, I want to be a financial advisor. And I went with a private company, and they didn't pay much, and they weren't there. They had 2 offices, like one in Coeur d'Alene and one in Lewiston, and I thought it would work out great, but it really didn't, because they weren't there a lot of the time for training.
Okay.
So then
So what kind of products would you sell?
Insurance, or I could sell I look like I know nothing now. It's been a while. At a Series 65, so I could sell money manager holdings to people's retirement accounts, and I could also, but in any insurance products, I had my insurance license. But so then, anyways, didn't have any guidance. So then I just said, okay. Like, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, well, you could do real estate part-time.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I'm interested in real estate. So got my real estate license, and quickly realized that I would not be successful in real estate, just like I wasn't being that successful in financial advising if I didn't have somebody to teach me.
Okay.
So gotcha. I was at Coldwell Banker, and there was an agent there who kind of just was looking for somebody. So I said, and he was like, I didn't interview anybody. I didn't really know anything about teams or how that looked.
It was Pear Black, right?
Is
that what I heard?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so Pear Black.
Learn from the master.
Right. Smile, dial, and make a pile. was his slogan, and that's what I did. So I would call just for like 4 hours straight.
He was so cheesy, but like he's good at what he did.
Oh, totally. No, he knew how to sell, and he knew how to get people who would tell him no, that he'd figure out a way to get some sort of piece of business out of them. So I credit him this day to teaching me how to make money.
That's awesome.
But that's kind of how I got my start, I guess. That's a very long answer, but
That's okay.
yeah.
So, so what did it look like joining it? So were you an agent on his team, or did you work doing like admin type work? Or
I didn't do any admin type work at all. He had an assistant, and basically I was his listing assistant. And basically how it went is I would call up people and get a listing appointment, and we would both go on it. And if it was a really hard person to get an appointment with, I'd end up transferring it over to Pear. But at like towards the end of my time working with him, I mean, it was good enough I'd be setting all the appointments. His assistant would get everything ready for us to go on our appointment, and then we'd go to the appointment together.
Nice.
And then he'd do, seal the deal.
Yeah, and he was a pretty high producing agent. How many appointments would you say you went on a weekly basis?
Probably. I mean, it wasn't uncommon to be going on 4 to 5.
That's okay. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
so
So you
we-
got a lot of experience dealing with sellers.
Yeah, I got a ton of experience, and in fact, I only did 2 buyers out of like the 40-something transactions we did together the first year. So
Wow.
it was a lot of experience with sellers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what did you do next? So why did you decide to come to Keller Williams?
Well, I felt like there was some I just felt like there were some things that could have been done better on like customer service side. So I thought, I'll quit and kind of start doing my own thing. So originally I thought maybe going to another team, because I knew that I wouldn't get paid out exactly if I left on the deals we had going. So
Yeah.
I thought so I joined the RMG team. Do you know Reed?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
I was with them for a couple months, and they're great people, but the way they had it set up, like with the listing agent thing, I was just like, I felt like I was working really hard for, doing all the work that I had and skills that I had used from my Pear days. So I didn't really feel like the value was there, I
Did
guess.
you feel like you were working at a call center sometimes?
Probably for like 3 years, yeah. But it was
Oh,
worth
with Pear
it.
as well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because then when I went on my own, that's exactly what I did. Is I just called people, and I remember Josh Adams, because my office was kind of cubicle was kind of outside of his office, and when I first got to going as a single agent, and I remember he probably meant the best, but he's like, "Oh, like that's all you're doing is real estate," and I was like, yeah, like this is it.
What do you mean by that?
I think he was like, you're not making, like, trying to do anything else for a second source of income, getting started. But I was like, no, like, I've been doing it. At that point, I'd been doing it for over a year or so, and I knew I could be successful at it. So I was like, no. And then afterwards, I'm always like my goal in life is to try to beat Josh Adams. But
Yeah.
no, he's a really good friend though. So
Yeah. Well, you're pretty well organized, right?
like my office or just
I
other
mean, in
things?
general, with your database and like.
I could be a lot better
Okay.
because that's probably my weakness is I am not an organized person. Like my assistant keeps me very organized and runs all that. So like she's probably hates me, but I make sure like we have a structure in place, and then she makes sure it gets done.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be the one organizing things.
Yeah.
But if you have someone filling that wheelhouse, that I think, I mean, no offense to Josh Adams, awesome what he does, but as far as I know, he keeps everything in his head.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like complete
Database
opposite,
and all.
which isn't good. I'm trying to be better about switching it, but like getting started, I didn't do anybody's transactions that I knew. like all of mine, and even the majority of mine, well, I guess now I get more repeat customers now, but like getting started for the first 3 years, it wasn't anybody I knew or anybody who was referred to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to do a lot of prospecting.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, call center, that was me. I was
Yeah.
the call center.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, other than the duplex, do you have any other investments, or have you bought, or you did? I know you built a house.
Yeah, I bought another duplex in 2016.
Okay.
And
So a couple of years later.
Yep, a couple of years later, and then.
Did you move into that one as well?
Nope, I didn't. Probably should have, but I didn't. So I just so I bought that one, and then like I really didn't do anything until I felt like I've always been like reading investment stuff, but I really didn't do anything until 2018.
Okay.
And that's when I really kind of, and part of the problem was, and I know this shouldn't be like an inhibiting factor, there's ways around it, but like getting started in real estate, I wasn't making that much money.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't have a lot of money to play with either.
Well, how'd you buy that second duplex?
Well, I did have like the income. So the first income with Pear, I did make like a decent salary that year. So I mean, I made good money my first year in real estate. I mean, not crazy amounts, but I mean enough to secure a loan for that place. But
did you have to put much down?
No, I didn't, because it was a private lender.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
did you get? Was it like an off-market duplex? Good deal?
It was. So, and I thought it was too much at the time. It was $228, 2016. I know.
Yeah, I know. What? Because right now duplexes are going for like $350.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Now I'm like, gosh, I should have quit. Like being like, oh, like that was one of the ones I like went to the signing table. And I was like, I don't know if I feel good about it, but it was fine.
So you signed on it anyway, not sure if you felt right about it?
No, I just felt, yeah, totally. I mean, I just felt like, if you're doing something where you're risking a little bit, you're probably not going to feel 110% all the time about it.
Okay.
So
you bought that one 4 years ago with private funds?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have that same private fund note in place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that one's still there, and that was like 30 years. So
it's a 30-year private note.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that worked out nice.
Is that family member loan? Or is it somebody else?
No, it is. It actually was a family member loan. So
okay.
I was lucky with that one.
Cool.
Yeah. And then so family member loan on that one. And then for 2 years or whatever, just really worked on making money in real estate and saving. And then 2018 is when I went to like my first real estate seminar, and it was Greg Penio's, and I was so like cheap because I was trying to save as much money. Like they're like had this seminar, and I got a discounted rate, and they were supposed to stay at the hotel, but I was like, oh, that hotel's way too expensive. Like was gonna stay like, I don't know, at like a cheap hotel down the road, and even like went over there with Zach Jones and some of the people that work with him, and I ended up sharing a room with Shannon Burmeister because she was over there too, and so we split the cost of the room, and I could justify that. And then but that was awesome. It was about negotiations, and it wasn't in the seminar that I got like some good advice. It was afterwards, like people went out to have drinks, and I started talking to the people who had been there and done that, and they're like, why aren't you taking equity, instead of like trying to save up as much as you can, why aren't you taking equity out of your places that you have equity, like your investments? And I was like, oh, like
didn't even think about it.
Like that's awesome. So because it's kind of a little different than like what I was, I guess, because like my parents are like, they don't want you to buy anything unless you can pay for it, just like a different era. So so I hadn't even thought about it, so it kind of got me out of the box. And then so I immediately went home and got a HELOC on my duplex, and for $35 at ICCU. So there's a nice plug for ICCU.
$35.
$35, got a HELOC on
Nice.
it. And and then I went around, or was looking for a deal, like just, now I had my eyes open, I guess, for more than just real estate transactions.
Okay.
And then,
So how did the HELOC work on an investment property? Do they?
well, it was my personal residence.
Oh, it was your personal. Okay, so you can take up to like what, 95% of the equity?
Yeah.
Something like
or
that?
something like that. And it was still in a duplex, but since I lived in it, it was considered, I could use the whole value
Oh,
as
really?
as my personal, or for the HELOC. So
Pretty good HELOC.
yeah. So that was awesome. So then I was like, awesome. So I know I got this second on my place, and I'm like, okay, now what, right?
Yeah.
Looking for the right deal, and then I had just came across it through real estate because I'd called on a piece of land for a builder before, and the guy didn't want to sell it. And then he called me. He said he might, but if he needed money to buy his brother out of a house. And then he called me like, I want to say like 3 months later, or maybe even 4 months later, and he was like, okay, like I'd like to sell it. And I had sent him over like 3 months earlier what some lots had sold for, like around his lot had sold for, and it was around 80. And he's like, that would be great because that's all I need is 80. So 80,000. So I was like, awesome. And used all the funds in my HELOC to buy it. And then went and
Did you have enough money to make payments?
well, yeah, they're only interest only payments.
Okay.
So
they were pretty small.
they're pretty small, and I only made like, I think, one payment before I ended up turning around and selling it.
Oh, okay.
So I cleared the driveway because I was thinking about building on it. And then I decided the wells in the area were kind of deep and I didn't want to.
Uh-huh.
And so I ended up, but I listed it right away because I thought, heck, if I could make 40 grand off of it right away. Like, so I listed it, and within 2 months it was gone.
Nice.
So
how much did you buy that lot for again? It was 80?
80.
And you sold it for how much?
119 or 120, and I double ended it.
And you were an agent, so you get to charge yourself a commission, or you don't have to.
Right, yeah. Which I definitely charged it because I didn't want the capital gains tax at that time because I didn't feel like my income was more than that. So
Okay, cool.
anyway,
So you flipped some land.
That-
You didn't have to
and then
fix any
I was-
window trim.
yeah,
Nothing like that.
I didn't have to do anything, and I was like, this
You
is
cleared a
awesome.
driveway? Is that what you said you did?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so what did that entail?
I paid a guy a couple $1,000 to go, probably too much, but to go and clear some trees off the land because they weren't trees that you could log. It was like pine, or not pine, but like, what do you call that? Lodgepole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
My brother did something similar about a year ago where he bought these two lots together on a cliff in Rathdrum for 50 grand for both of them. And then he paid an excavator $15,000 to go through and like cut driveways in and stuff, and like actually, so you can actually walk this property now, and it's actually really nice and still completely undeveloped, but we were able to sell both for I think over 60 or so.
yeah, that's awesome.
So he made a lot of money.
Right, and then you don't do that much.
And he didn't have any money either, but he just used all private loans and hard money lenders. So flipping land's a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna, because my big thing was I'm gonna make money and then invest it, or just always continually do that. So then, anyways, made a couple bucks off of that, and then my next thing I did was then I did build. So I used most of the funds from that to buy a lot in Bayview.
Uh-huh.
And then that's where I built a home. I went in with, it was like a handshake deal with a builder. And so I'd schedule.
So where'd you meet this builder?
I worked with him. I had been like trying to find land, digging up land for him to build his spec homes on.
Okay.
And so had gotten pretty good at finding what he wanted and delivering. So
how does an agent meet a builder and get a relationship like that? Like, where'd you meet this guy?
So I actually had some buyers. He ended up being a good friend, but he wanted to buy a home, and so I was like, realtor mistake number like 102 or whatever, but he's like, oh, I want to buy this home, but my girlfriend hasn't came up to see it, but I think she'll like it. It'll be great. I'm like, okay.
Uh-oh.
So we go through the home inspection, and the girlfriend gets there, and she just hates it. Like, doesn't like it, doesn't want to live there, doesn't want to move up, because I guess she was moving up to live with him. Doesn't want to move up there to live in that house, so says, like, it smells, which it didn't really, but anyway, so across the street there was this for sale by owner sign, new build, like, give it a call or whatever. So I called on that one to say, like, hey, like, how much is this house for sale? Can we take a look at it? So we ended up going in there, and that's how I met the builder originally.
Okay. So he was listing his own properties for sale by owner?
Yeah, and so we went in there, and they liked the build style. They didn't like the floor plan. So he said, they asked if he had any other builds, and he said he could build them a home. And so that's kind of how I brought him my first the first buyer to him, our first deal we'd ever done together. And then it was a smooth and easy transaction. So he said, all right, well, if this is what I'm looking for, or here was I think I listed another listing of his first that he was having trouble selling.
So did the builder pay you a commission for bringing the buyers to him?
Oh yeah, that was like one of my first questions.
Okay.
I was like,
and he had no problem with that?
Yeah, he didn't have a problem.
It's just
with that.
Another line item, like, lumber,
right.
Real estate commission. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he never like
just
broke.
Built into the
but
cost.
I like really bothers me when builders like break it out, because I'm like, it should be wrapped in like your profits wrapped in.
Yeah.
So I get like really like up in arms about that, but because I guess some builders do that, and I don't think that's okay.
Well, yeah, some builders, I mean, they'll tack on 40% in profits, which is, it's whatever they want to get paid, and it's all about whatever their quality is, and what if somebody's willing to pay whatever. Also, the house has to appraise, but it's good that you asked for the commission up front.
Oh yeah, before we even like left, I was like, okay, like, you're gonna pay me my commission pretty much. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So that worked out well, because everybody's got to eat, right?
Yeah.
So
so what's an average commission when you're dealing directly with a builder and a buyer? Did you ask for 3% or more?
I asked for 3. I probably should ask for more.
Okay.
But
so he kind of got away with not having to pay another 3.
Yeah, he totally did.
So that's why he was probably happy with it.
Yeah. But on the same token, I really, he did. I mean, it did turn into more business, so I guess that's good. But then, actually, I quit working for that builder because I was like, I was spending so much time on his, projects, doing like, and I'd get paid a little bit, but like doing stuff that a real estate agent really isn't like meant to be doing, like turning in septic permits and
oh gosh,
and I was like, and immediately after I stopped, like the next year I made over double what I made the year I was working with him, and I was just like, should have done that sooner.
Okay. So you mentioned, so I cut you off right after you said you did a handshake deal with him to build a house in Bayview.
Yep, I did that.
So how did that turn out?
Well, so I quit working for him like probably 4 months before the build was supposed to be done. So it started in like November, and then I think I quit in March. And then the build was done in August or right before August. But so I was really it was awesome at first because I was really involved with the whole process. But as soon as I quit, it was obviously like not talking.
Held things up.
Oh yeah, not talking.
Yeah, November to August. That seems like a long time to build a house.
Well, it wasn't like super long for some builders, but it was I was definitely like, seriously. But yeah, so I mean, I was just happy when it was over.
Perfect. So what did that deal look like? Did you find another great deal on some land and use your HELOC again?
Oh, I actually bought the land on the MLS. It was cheap because it was in Bayview.
Yeah.
So I used my profit from the
other land flip.
The other land flip to put on the whatever the new build, and then I refinanced everything and took all my savings. I had no savings, like none. So I'm like, I am like, let's go, let's get this thing finished.
Risk taker, yeah.
Oh, totally. Because I was like, well, I guess I'm young enough and I have no responsibilities. If this completely flops,
yeah,
I'll be fine. And then, I probably wouldn't do that ever again. Honestly, for that, because there wasn't enough profit in it to make it worth it. And I was supposed to be, to me, I was like, oh, I'll learn, everything A to Z to build to go on to my next one. But
so there wasn't much profit in the build.
Well, we split the profit.
Oh, okay, with
50,
the builder.
50.
Gotcha.
So it was like, I think about 50 each. So I mean, it wasn't bad. But
did you have to front any of the construction up front or anything like that?
It was a horrible deal for me.
It was a bad deal.
I fronted all of it. It was like, this is like one of those things you're like, this is stuff I will
giving
never
away
again.
Half your profits for someone to build a house, which anybody could have built.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. I was like, and I was supposedly supposed to like learn all this stuff and then just like completely like dropped. I was just like, whatever. So anyways, it wasn't a good deal. It was not a good deal. That was one of those ones I'm like, I'm just glad I'm
learned
done.
a lot from it.
Yeah, I learned a lot for like how to like, there should be a written contract. You should state when it's supposed to be done, what kind of penalties are going to be there when it's not done on time.
And who's doing what.
Yeah, exactly. So there were definitely some things that could have been better. But I mean, in the future, and I'm just kind of this way anyway, and I know it's not the grace, but I was like, I'd never do a partnership again. I'd just go build it and pay somebody to go, if I really need it, felt like it, and pay somebody to go, hey, would you take a look at this? I'll pay you, I don't know, X amount to oversee it, stop by once a month.
Yeah. Well, I would just, I mean, just because almost everything I do involves partners, be open-minded to it in the future. You just got to have the right partner. And clear expectations.
I do have
but like I have partners on my builds, on my flips, on my real estate team, almost everything. Even the media company, I've got a partner on it, and they. But we all really know what everybody's role is, and what happens if they don't do their job. But it makes it so much easier to be able to get more things done if you're not trying to do it all.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
True.
And make sure that it is, I don't want to lecture you on this too much, but I just want you to keep an open mind to partners in the future, because they can make life easy or hell, but you just got to find the right person that's skilled at what their job is going to be on that venture.
Yeah.
I want to say.
I guess I should take that back, right? But I guess maybe the build part, I don't know. I maybe would consider it, but so anyways, and then the profits from that build, I turned over and used I will obviously paid everything back off, and then took the profits from the build to put as a down payment for the property management company that I bought like right after it closed. Pretty much.
So were you looking for a property management company at the time?
I was.
Okay.
So I had thought it would be really nice to have there would be opportunities within the property management company for real estate, like to list them, or maybe some tenants want to buy.
Yeah.
And then I also thought it'd be awesome to have that income that comes in steadily, even if it's not a lot, just to have that come in steady, because it's real estate, as you know, it's not steady. It
commissions
can be,
are not steady.
Yeah.
They're just not, no matter how much you work.
Yeah.
But yeah, rental income can be pretty steady. Can be. Where'd you find this management company?
I had actually talked to, I just started letting people know I was looking for one. Okay. So I just started talking to pretty much everybody, saying like, yeah, I'd love to own a property management company. And my husband's family before he was my husband. They had known Penny Schmidt, and she owns Solid Rock Property Management.
Okay.
And that's the company that I own today, and I co-own it with my partner Jordan.
Right on.
Kinsey, yeah. So I do have a good partnership there. So.
Okay, so you and Jordan bought it together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you more about like how much you bought it for and what it looked like and how'd you finance it?
Yeah. So we so I bought it for $130,000.
Wow.
And
it had 80 something clients at the time?
It had 85 doors.
85 doors.
Yeah, so I can't tell you the clients right now off the top of my head, but 85 doors, and they all pretty much stayed with us because it's been it'll be a year in August that we've owned it. So, and they've all pretty much stayed with us, and in fact, we've grown it to like 115 or 120 doors.
And how long have you had it now?
August to June.
Okay.
So 1st of August.
So
is when
going
I
on a year? Almost a year now?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yep.
And you've been able to grow it by over 20%?
And the crazy part is it's like been by word of mouth.
All word of mouth. Okay, you're not marketing anywhere?
Like maybe on Facebook. Does that count? And I thought Penny was like, she's so sweet and like such a good person. I think that's really like why we've done so well, and we've gotten referrals from her and from people who have just been like, I used to rent from Penny and I loved renting from her. She was awesome, and now I have this house and I want to rent it out, and so they came to us. And I didn't take for granted the goodwill, because how do you put a value on goodwill in a company?
Yeah.
So it was, that was one thing that was super surprising to me, is just there was a ton of goodwill just a really great reputation that we're just trying really hard to make sure it keeps going that way.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So how'd you come up with 130,000?
So I put down whatever I made from Waller Road, and then Penny.
Is that your new build flip?
Yeah, the new build flip.
Okay, so you just keep rolling your investments into new ventures.
I'm the brokest
Nice.
person, because that's totally what I do. I can't help myself. I'm like,
I think that's really smart. I mean, you didn't just go take your team to Mexico with all the cash.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my
awesome.
team wants that. They deserve it. Yeah, right. That wasn't all your cash, but to Mexico. But
I'm joking. But no, you made a smart investment.
Yeah. So then
one after another.
Yep. And then then Penny had a 3% loan to me for the rest, and that was secured by, I guess, I don't know if you call that a third on Violet.
Okay, so tell me again, how much money did you put down? And this is a private note?
Yeah, it's a private note. I put down, this is where it gets a little sticky. So I put down 30 first because she didn't want any more than that year. Okay. And then after that,
for tax reasons?
Yeah, for tax reasons, which was fine with me. And then a 3% loan on the rest, which didn't accrue, I think, until like a month after that or something. But started accruing interest until like a month after that. And then I paid, let's see here, another 40 down then at the beginning of the year.
Oh, okay. So you got a total of 70,000 in of your own money into it?
A little bit more now, because every profit check I get from it, I just pay toward. I don't take any profit from it yet.
Now.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's almost paid off. It'll be paid off in November, I think. Okay. Yeah.
So your partner, Jordan, do you mind telling a little bit about how's that structured? Like, did she help bring in some of the money, or is she doing a lot of the work?
Jordan does everything. I help. Jordan didn't know a lot about property. She didn't know anything, actually, about property management. But she's super quick learner, and she picked it up easy. So I went with her first couple walkthroughs, and everybody has a different standard of clean for rentals.
Yeah.
And mine is probably a little bit more than most, but like the way I keep my rentals are super clean in between tenants, and I expect that like when I move into a place, so I try to do that for ours. So for the rentals there, like we definitely just had to get on the same page as, okay, this is not okay, this is passable, but the next time we'd want, the walls painted or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so kind of, I worked with her. I spent a lot of my time, actually, probably for 3 months, because with her, trying to make sure that the ins and outs, she picked up the software faster and probably better than I did, putting in rents and stuff.
Okay.
And then just the, like, daily in and day out stuff, like what a tenant asks for, what's okay and what's not to fix.
Before you bought this management company, were you managing your own rentals?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had a little bit of experience.
Yeah, I definitely had some experience, and it wasn't new to me. So like I said before, like my parents owned rentals.
Yeah.
So I grew up cleaning them.
Okay.
So
you're not afraid of tenants.
Yeah. I think like you always hear like, oh, you get like you got to be called to fix things or do this if you own rentals, or they'll trash them. And I've been really lucky where I don't feel like any of mine have been trashed, but I also feel like I also try to be a really good landlord where I'm in there fixing stuff, which now I try to hire somebody. But I mean, at first I'd be like, oh, your toilet flapper's not working, I'll run to the store and grab the part. And
oh, you would go do that
oh,
stuff.
Totally. Yeah, your garbage disposal's not working, I'll go get the garbage disposal and I'll go put it in, because that's the way my parents to this day still like run theirs.
Man, that's pretty hardcore.
So I'm like this little kid pretty much like, oh yeah, I'll go fix that for you. And
with me and my rentals, I'm like, I call someone to install my blinds. Like, could you install the blinds? I can't do it.
I just did that this year and it felt really good. Yeah, well, and then the like other side, I think I was so cheap at first. Like, I remember the first year, they really didn't have a lot go wrong, but like the first year, the oven element caught fire, and I was so cheap. I was like, I don't want to pay for a new stove because I just bought it. I went to like, there's like, was it Midway Appliance? Somewhere.
Yeah, off Best.
Yeah, I think that's where I went and like and the guy's like, oh, you just need to take the little control board and I'll fix like a fuse or something that went out on it. And I was like, okay. So I like went to the other side, took the control, busted it on accident. Yeah. Like took it over there twice for him to fix it. Spent like, I think $135. I probably should have just bought a new thing and then wired it back in because I'd busted it out. It was kind of crooked, and I made it look pretty, and and then put it in. But I was like, now I'm like, if something like that were to happen, I'd probably, if it's an older stove.
How many hours do you think that you spent on that oven?
Oh yeah, probably 2. 2
hours?
Yeah.
Okay. How much money do you think you could potentially make if you spend 2 hours on the phone?
Oh, more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, more than an oven would cost. I mean, if I spent 2 hours on the phone, I think I could get a listing, which would be
a few $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, I'm learning.
If you ever think about it that way. I remember I had to think about it that way a few years ago when I was putting up blinds in Osborne to save money, because I was just trying to be cheap, and I can do this at least. I remember spending almost the entire day putting up just regular blinds in not a huge house. And I was just like, oh my God, this isn't too hard, but I could have got this done for like $60. And when I'm on the phones at work, I can make like $2,000 a day if I'm actually calling.
Oh yeah. Ugh, I still struggle with that. Like some stuff I'm good about. Like I'm like, nope, I'll just not worth my time. I'll tired out. But other things like, so recently, this year we remodeled the other side of the duplex, my first one I bought that I moved into, and now I'm out of it. When I got married, I moved in with my husband, but the other side, so we finally kicked those tenants out and remodeled it, and we did a lot of it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are we doing this? Because there's like enough money in the rental account to probably hire somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I think it all came, my dad's electrician. He owns his own electrical company down in Clarkston. So he has been awesome. And every time I've ever like redone something, he'll come up and do the electrical.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome because they're expensive and he's super fast. But I think I realized, like, okay, I need to definitely budget in somebody else doing this, when I probably spent like an hour, maybe an hour, maybe it was more, putting up a light fixture in the dining room that I had messed up like 3 times. Usually I can do stuff like this and it's not that big of a deal, but for some reason, like, it was just kind of a weird one, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then my husband was putting in outlets, and I think he did 3 in the time that I did the light fixture, and we were both just looking at each other like, this is probably not like our best use of time. I'm like, totally. So especially when my dad goes through there, or any electrician would go through there and have like all the, at least 15 of the plugins done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in an hour. So.
Yeah, I can totally relate. Last year, Tyler and I bought a rental together up in Sandpoint, and he did most of the work, but I wanted to go help him for a day and like do my part. And it took me like half a day just to try to put the rails back on the stairs, and I kept missing studs and stuff, and he had to come help and fix that. And then I went to just put the door handle on, and it took me like the second half of the day to just get that door handle on because everything was complicated. And I ended up painting the door mostly, and then it was getting dark and I had to go. It was such a waste.
I know.
Like, I could have hired someone $14 an hour. He could have got all that done in 1 hour. It took me just way too long, just because you're kind of out of practice. It's just not worth doing handiwork.
Yeah, and it's like it's always something that it becomes more complicated than it's supposed to be. Always, like, I feel like it's like, oh, this will take. I'm notorious for saying this too. This will take like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you're there an hour and a
half a
half.
day. Yeah.
Hour and a half later, and it's still not done.
So your management company. So Jordan got in as a partner for basically, and she just does all the labor, all the work.
She paid a little bit of money.
Is she also on salary or anything like that, or she just get a
is.
split of what the profits are? Okay.
So she gets salary and a split of the profits.
Okay. So is she an employee of Solid Rock?
So I learned this year. If you're in a partnership, you can't pay your person a salary. You can pay them guaranteed payments.
Okay.
But they can't be like given. I cut a like W-2 or anything like that. So I give her. We've decided, since she is doing most of the work on that, and that does take up a big chunk of her day, she gets a guaranteed payment every 2 weeks, like a salary would be. But she just has to pay her own taxes out of it.
Nice.
So.
Could I ask what kind of profits about 100 units will give you? Be owning a rental company?
Well, I can tell you gross numbers.
Okay.
But I honestly would have to go pull it. I guess I should be better.
I'm sure it gets complicated, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's a little bit like Solid Rock obviously shares an office with Flourishing Your Realty Group.
Uh-huh.
So there's some things that are shared, and like some things that I don't know how to differentiate. Yeah. So, but like gross numbers when we bought it, I think it was $7,500 a month is gross management fees. Okay. And now we're at like $9,300, I think. Okay. So it changes every month. So that's why I'm like, yeah, because depending on it, because if we don't charge a fee if they're vacant. Yeah. If you're not getting paid, we're not getting paid. And then we charge like a one-time setup fee. I mean, there are some property managers, you could make a ton of money, I think, charging a ton of little fees. Yeah. But we don't. I don't know if that's necessarily a good or bad thing, but we charge a one-time setup fee for our new properties.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's just your management fee.
Okay.
And then, so it fluctuates pretty much every month depending on how many new properties we took on. But we definitely have taken on a new property at least once a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, since we bought it.
And how much in fees do you charge? Is it the same for everybody?
It's not. It totally depends because there's Airbnb, like we manage some Airbnbs.
Oh, okay.
And we probably won't
That's
do
unique.
anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
don't get any ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, that seemes pretty labor intensive.
It's definitely.
Because I've got a couple Airbnbs and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So one of our owners who we manage a bunch of properties for, he was like, I really want to do an Airbnb with our new purchase. And so we were like, would you manage it? And basically, because he's such a good.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll give it. We were up front. We're like, we don't know what to charge you. We don't know what to do. This number is gonna change. It might change. We might have to charge you way more.
I know a company in town. They charge like 35%.
Yeah,
something
isn't
like
that nuts? I don't.
Plus whatever else they want to charge.
Yeah, and it's just like crazy. So we probably are done with Airbnbs just because I don't. It is super time intensive, and unless you can, you get somebody really good to leverage it out to.
Yeah.
Then I think you're kind of in a little bit of trouble because they do take a lot of time. And not to mention, like, if you're not up on your calendar dates for, like, when Ironman's going to be or something, you're going to lose out on a bunch of money for booking, and we don't, we can't be on top of everything, so.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So in the midst of all this, investments and real estate, and now you bought a management company, in the background, you also, like, grew a real estate sales team, right?
Yeah.
Did you talk about that and like how that started?
I don't know if it's working or not, but we're about to find out because it's pretty new.
How new is it?
Well, I think I've had one buyer's agent with me for about a year now.
Okay.
And then I hired one more buyer's agent, and she's only been with me for a few months, and they're, I don't want to call them part-time, but I mean, they have like one of them, she has like her husband's business that she goes over for meetings for, and the other one has a 2-year-old that when she can't get daycare for him, she works from home. So it's just like set up very much relaxed, I guess, as far as that, because I felt like honestly the first one probably ended up with me by default, because nobody else would take her because she couldn't be into the office at set times.
Oh, okay.
I mean, far as teams, usually they want you in the office 8 to noon or whatever.
Not my team.
Yeah, that's awesome. But so she joined, and she was just like, I've got other stuff going on, and I was like, that's fine, that's great, like, because the cool thing about real estate is your actions are going to equal your paycheck. So whether you're in the office with me or you're out and about or at home, doesn't matter to me. If you do the XYZ, you'll get paid, and if you don't, you won't. So
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's still pretty new. You got a couple of agents with you, and you're doing all the listings still?
I let my agents do the listings if they wanted to.
Oh, okay.
So like we each have our own.
Do you hand off a lot of like your good clients, or do you hold on to some of yours? So
all my repeat business I pretty much keep for me, and then for like if I'm going to be out of town or don't want to work on the weekend, which happens a lot, I really don't like. I used to work every single weekend, prospecting and showing homes, and I just don't want to do that anymore. So then I'll hand the clients off, and then that's theirs.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so everybody kind of does their own business, and then if there's something that I don't have the time for, or I'm just like, I'd rather not work this weekend, I'd rather spend it with my family, Then I hand it off.
Okay. So, do you follow any kind of model for your team?
No.
No?
Because this is completely uncharted territory. I don't know. I should. I have an assistant which is actually Jordan. So Jordan does that for me.
So she also manages your team too?
Yeah, she's like super busy. I don't think she's ever had a day she's been like, I have nothing to do.
Yeah, and we our offices are right next to each other, and it's so funny. I always see Jordan working. She's just always in the corner, head down, always working.
Yeah, she's
it's insane.
Like, yeah, she's just Wonder
hardest
Woman.
working
Woman in real estate.
Yeah, she's the Pear Black of.
Yeah, and she has her license, so now she's like done some deals too. So
really? Cool.
She's like getting up and running. It's really exciting to see like what she's doing. And now recently, like, she's been like really good on just like random. At first, when I first hired her, she did a lot of random stuff for me.
Yeah.
And now she's kind of more in a structured job, but like. I think I was still building Waller. She did like new construction cleanup with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like super great.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that's like Jeremy with me. Like when we first started the media company, like I had just bought a cabin that I was going to do an Airbnb on, and when we didn't have shoots that day, which was just about every day, he'd come help me like paint it and get it ready and put furniture together.
That's awesome.
But yeah, there's always something to do when you're, when you got properties to work on, and
yeah,
you can always fill the gaps.
Yeah,
or work on marketing or.
Yeah, and she's just like awesome. She'll be super successful because she's just getting started, and so we'll see how long she stays doing what she's doing. She might be on to bigger and better things.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully with me, right? But hopefully, she can, because we do plan on growing. We hired another person for Solid Rock to help.
Yeah.
So, for her, it's kind of like whatever direction she wants to go, and then we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
That's the interesting thing about like if you're in real estate sales investment teams versus, or like if you're investing time and energy into growing this team of people that are going to help bring in income to the business, and you're helping them, and you're educating them and training them, and then they get up and they're, and then maybe they might just go someday. But it's interesting when you buy real estate or like a house or duplex, you can get it quote unquote like trained up, fixed up, trained for a renter. They're not going to leave you one day for Greg Link's team. your duplex. Your duplex just stays. It's very stable.
It's titled in your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see the differences in businesses. Some you can just put a lot of energy into it, give it all your all, and it could all without your, they could just go, it could just collapse overnight. But it's not that way with houses.
Yeah, they're not going, especially if you have insurance on them, right? Even if they burn down, you're still going to be okay.
They have life insurance if they die.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's probably now this year I'm focusing more on, I'd like 50-50 is what I said my goal was. I'd like 50% of my income to be from real estate, whether that be flips or finding rentals. That's a little bit... That one's a little hard to say, like, it's 50% of my income this year, but
yeah,
it helps, like, down the road. But so this year, my real goal was to not really focus on Solid Rock. Jordan's got a good handle on that. I mean, obviously, for big picture stuff, I'm there. But not really to focus a ton more on real estate, but to do 50% investments and then 50% real estate transactions.
Yeah. So it's clear, I mean, you got a lot of ambitions. What do you see yourself doing in the future? Anything bigger than a management company or a real estate team? Like, do you have any goals to buy apartment buildings or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's a goal now. I would love to buy an apartment building, and I would figure out a way to make it happen. But I'm, like, super open to a bunch of different things. I think... probably my like end goal would be to just do real estate for myself. Like, I don't want to be slinging real estate in like 20 years or whatever. I want to be the one who's using somebody to sling the real estate for me. So, I mean, It probably won't happen. I'll probably always have my license, but yeah.
Any advice for anybody out there who's just getting started? kind of, if somebody wants to follow in your shoes?
Well, I'm like the slow boat to China. I didn't like, I didn't just like take
I wouldn't
off.
think so. I mean, you've only been doing this for a few years.
Yeah, but I know a lot more people have like more success and you can really, if you concentrate like really hard on the right thing, you can take off and make a ton of money in this industry. That's what I love about it. But probably my biggest, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I know my biggest thing when I first got started was getting out of my own head and just being like positive about like, yeah, I can do it. And the world won't come crashing down. And because I could always hear like little snippets of like, oh, you're going to get burned if you do a flip. You're going to, it's not going to work out. In fact, I love my parents. They're super supportive and awesome in most things, but I never told them about any of my real estate stuff really until it was done and it had gone well. Because I'm like, I don't want to hear like and they mean the best. Like they want to look out for you. Like, I want you to be protected, like, but just like you better watch out. Flips, you're gonna get burned. That's a good way to get burned, or so.
Yeah. I was definitely in my own head for a while. Like I started real estate like 10 years ago with the ambitions to invest in real estate, and I let the first 4 years go by without doing anything other than just helping investors buy great deals. So. Well, I can understand being in your own head.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what started it, right? You're like helping all these people. I don't know about for you. I had to have been kind of the same for you. I'm like helping all these people. I'm like, Joe Blow can do it. I can do it.
Yeah. I mean, but I was, had a lot of self-esteem issues. I still do.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other advice for anybody other than get out of your own head?
I'd just say keep learning, because I'm still learning. I don't know half of it. I mean, there's just so much more to learn about it. Like, I feel like you can go so many directions in real estate. So I guess, and you don't necessarily have to find just one path, but just to keep learning, and yeah, that's about it.
Just keep learning. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Laurel.
Yep.
It was
Thanks,
great.
Nick.
Appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
See you around the office.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Investor Shed podcast. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for instant access to all future episodes. If you or someone you know has investing experience or stories to share, reach out to us in the comments or via email.